Hello family, my name is Chris. I am your home gamer dad. I apologize if my voice sounds a little weird. I'm actually at the very tail end of whatever illnesses that I've been fighting for the past week and a half or so. But this video is way overdue. I wish I had had time in order to be able to film this for you guys sooner. But I've also been waiting for the previews to come out and things along that way, which has been a little bit slower than normal. But these things are coming out really, really soon. And it's the high time I sit down and talk to you guys about the new SPD Ranger Pack coming out, Merciless Minions #2, and of course, Storage Box #2. All these were announced June 9th of 2023 during Renegade's last Renegade Con, which is pretty much their streaming show that they do every few months or so in order to let you know about new stuff that's coming out. And I was really surprised, not only to see what it is that they said was coming out for Heroes of the Grid, amongst other things as well, but also how fast it's coming out. These things are supposed to be set to release July, that's right now, or at least right now when this video is going up and everything. So they're coming really, really soon. And again, you're going to be expecting to see the SPD Rangers, which is awesome. All 5 Rangers into one pack. And then Merciless Minions 2 gives us 2 new minions and 1 new elite minion. Oh, I'm so excited for the elite minions. I can't wait to talk about those right now. And then they also announced the second storage box. And I'm actually going to talk about the storage box first before I go into anything else. So this is the first storage box that they released, storage box #1 right now, which at the time was like the only thing that they had. I actually have 2 of these in order to be able to hold all the cards and everything, but people kind of do what they want to do with this and make it, you know, as organized as they feel like they should or whatever. Like this is my Ranger one, as you can tell with all the different colors and whatnot. This is getting really full. And then also the other one, which I have for my monsters and everything, is also getting really full. So it was getting to a point where I was thinking about, do I need a third one of these or not? But luckily with Storage Box 2, even though it's the same, it's different. And that I'm okay with. Fans call this one the gold storage box. And I think that's mostly because of the color scheme that's on it. As you saw with Storage Box #1, it was very heavy in the blues. The main color focus is that. Whereas this one, you have gold on the top and the bottom. The system of it is basically the same. It has your dividers for all your different characters in it, both for the regular cards and then for your MegaZords or longer cards or tarot cards, like character cards. And then the inside of it as well is also designed exactly the same. You have 3 different slots that you can put all the cards and everything in, and it gives you 2 bigger things for it in order to be able to hold on to the tarot-sized cards. So as far as overall storage, you're going to get the exact same amount of storage with Storage Box 2 as you did with #1, because you have the 3 different inserts to it that you're going to be able to put the cards. I kind of wish that there was a way in order to remove those middle 3. I probably could if I go into there and cut them off or whatever, but I wish Renegade kind of figured that out too in order to be able to remove it, because something like this, I would rather store maybe my figures in or something along that way. So I already have 2 boxes for cards, and there is just enough room in all of them for me to be able to put this new set of stuff in. And yes, I am going to need another one at some point, but I would rather move my figures from the brown box that I currently have them in to something like this storage box, just to kind of keep it all together thematically or something along that ways. And then maybe I could even turn this into more of a travel size thing where I can put figures and locations and other certain cards in it that I would want to bring with me to places. So I just have to pick up the standard box here and walk around with this. And this has everything I need to play. It may not have all the characters, but it could hold a good chunk of them and whatnot. But then I can also have all of the other tokens and whatnot in it as well. I don't know. That's just me. That's what I kind of wish was the Storage Box 2. But just having another one is excellent to have and very welcome. Storage Box 2 can be pre-ordered by itself. So if you don't want SPD and or the Merciless Minions #2, you can just get Storage Box #2 by itself. Again, probably something I would have done anyway, but for this particular campaign that Renegade is running, and unfortunately, I don't know how much longer it's going to be available prior to this. According to the website, the release date for this, expected release date, July 24th, 2023, which is very, very soon after this goes up. So up until probably a day or 2 prior to its release, you're going to be able to get Storage Box 2 for free should you pre-order both the SPD and the Merciless minions at the same time. And to find all that stuff really quickly, head on down to the description below, click on those links and everything in order to be able to take yourself over to the Renegade website to check out all that stuff. The previews are there, every preview is there, but what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go over a few of them that I personally handpicked, because once SPD comes out, of course, you're gonna expect to see the team breakdown of that, and of course, going into a full session and everything using those. But there's just a few cards from them that I wanna kind of pull out to show you guys and to really be like, this is awesome, I can't wait to play as them. All right, so each one of the 5 SPD Rangers, we're gonna talk about their character card, as you can see right here for Jack. And then I have one particular card that I've pulled out from what's been showed that I kind of want to focus on right now. And again, we'll talk about all the rest of the stuff later. But Jack right here, SPD Red, Phantom Leader, because he has a human ability, a civilian power, I believe is what they're called, to like kind of phase through things and whatnot. Once per battle, when any ranger resolves an attack card with an energy cost of 0, they may spend 1 energy to immediately play 1 card with an energy cost of 0. Basically, it's giving the rangers 2 cards in a row in order to be able to play, so long as they both have a 0 cost. Now, the SPD ranger abilities all require you to pay 1 energy in order to do something. So there's a lot of energy consumption that's needed for SPD Rangers. Something that you may want to think about before you even get them on the table is, do you have a character on here that can produce enough energy in order to be able to cover the various costs that the SPD Rangers are going to be able to need? Now, some of these abilities are amazing. Some of them do produce more energy on their own right. But overall speaking, you may want to think about having some type of battery character in order to support them and whatnot, like a Rocky from Zeo, for example. But in any event, Jack's power, pretty good. Again, it's a matter of just following up with another attack, which is a lot of cards within Jack's deck. Now, again, you can always check out all of the previews on the website right now in order to see exactly how that plays in. But again, a lot of Jack's cards are about cards being played before he plays a card, or at least in combo conjunction along that ways, where the more cards that are played in a turn, the stronger Jack becomes. So for example, we have Attack of Opportunity, which I really like because it's him phasing through a cryobot and just punching Broodwing right in the face. Like, it's so cool where it's like, you have like the shielded Broodwing's like, haha, the guy's in front of him, and then Jack like jumps through them and sucker punches him. It's awesome. 0 cost card, I think a lot of these are 0 cost, to die attack. If another ranger has played an attack or maneuver card this turn, add 1 dice to this attack. So now, what you're going to need then is another ranger, so not Jack, playing a card that specifically says another ranger may play a card. That's when you would play this one in order to make it a 3 dice 0 cost attack rather than 2, which is really awesome. Like, it's a cool way in order to kind of bring Jack's powers in and then make sure that you're really working all your rangers as a team. I think that's another big thing about the SPD Rangers that I see. All of their abilities are team-based. Your team needs to work together. They each need to play their cards in sequential order in order to be able to get the best combo out of it. So you need a teammate to play something, and then Jack to come on in and take his sucker punch ability and knock out a foot soldier, a monster, something along that ways. A lot of great cards in Jack's deck, but let us move on to SPD Blue. Sky Civilian Power in SPD is putting up, well, basically a barrier in order to protect his team. So of course, right here we have Barrier Field. Once per battle, when any ranger suffers damage, you may spend 1 energy to reduce that damage by 2. Again, needing that little bit of energy in order to activate the civilian powers, because these abilities that they have here are coming from them personally. It's not like they're pulling this from the morphing grid, doing some type of crazy ability and whatnot. Now, yes, it's enhanced coming from the morphing grid, but it is still coming from them personally, their own unique special civilian powers, as I say. So it needs that energy to do. And spending an energy to reduce any incoming damage by 2 really could make the difference between a ranger decking out completely and losing them in battle, or keeping them around, putting something strong back on the bottom of their deck, or, you know, just completely negating an attack coming in. So Sky's ability to defend his team, reduce a lot of damage, and just keep them in the fight this whole time is absolutely invaluable. Now, what's weird to me about Sky's deck is that there are no star defense powers at all in his deck. For someone that's very defense heavy, I was expecting to see 1, 2, there are none, which is very, very strange. However, the card that I chose to show off here actually is the best offense is a great defense type of power. Barrier Break. Play this card when any ranger suffers damage. If that damage was reduced, deal 2 damage to an enemy card of your choice. Basically, it's this big knockback ability that he has in order to like summon his barrier, which you would use an energy for to reduce it by 2. And then because this is a 0-cost card, you would then play it. And again, this is any ranger. Any ranger at all, including himself, if something is reduced coming in, then that damage is then bursted back at the enemy. Well, 2 points of it at least. And what's great is it's to an enemy card of your choice. This is not a targeted attack. This is not an attack at all. So this is something that will bypass guard and be able to knock out foot soldiers that are protective, passives that are protective, things along that ways. I love this. And I'm glad that this is one of those cards that I know there's going to be 2 of them in his deck and that like you can play it and then boom, gone. And then if another set of energy comes in, if it's reduced, play it, boom, again. It's just, I love the way that they take a defensive ability and twist it into an offensive power. And that's exactly what Sky does. He is strong, he is steadfast, he is by the books all the way, but he knows when he can get in there in order to get his shots in. Again, very weird that there is no star defense powers in his deck, but you're still going to be able to get a lot of defensive use out of Sky. So when Renegade was putting out their previews for this, I was really expecting to see Bridge next, just because I feel like that's the way that the morphing sequence happens whenever they transform. Very surprised to see that Sid was the next one that they decided to show off. And I would have done this video even sooner if I had seen Bridge. I would have done this video to have Bridge shown off, even if like the others weren't done. If he was the first one, then I would have showed that off because Bridge is my favorite SPD Ranger out of the bunch. But that's okay. We're just going to show them off in the way that they were shown off as well online. Again, with Sid, our Pink Ranger, transmutation. She has the ability to change her body structure of like absorbing man of sorts into things that she touches and whatnot. And she is a spunky Pink Ranger. Very like hee hoo, like a little bubbly, but when she gets down to brass tasks, man, is she powerful. Once per battle, after any ranger rolls at least 1 miss during an attack, you may spend 1 energy to remove a different die from that attack to convert the miss to a double hit. So basically your dice manipulation right here. This is something where you don't have to worry about rolling misses, because if you roll at least 1 miss, you can spend an energy to change that miss to a double hit, the maximum amount of damage a dice can do, which is absolutely insane. Most recently in Ally Pack number 3, we had Udana and Delphine, which were pretty much manipulating dice in order to go from hits to misses, and then something happens. Sid is the absolute opposite here. She takes your misses and turns them into hits, but not only hits, extreme hits. This is the most powerful hit you can have on a dice. And this is something that I can see working really well with characters that play off of that as well. So like Tanya, for example. I know I gave her a hard time when I talked about Power Rangers Zeo and the Yellow Ranger, but her ability to make a 2-hit into a 3-hit, you switch that to a 2 and then you use her ability to make it a 3, you're just tacking on damage right off the bat, even if you roll a miss. Absolutely amazing. And I think this is a great representation for Sid because of her ability to like look all frail and innocent and whatnot, and then all of a sudden just come right at you super strong and knock your block off. And while she has many cards in her deck that do that extremely well, I'm actually going to focus on her power weapon this time. And then the only reason I quote that is because they don't really have individual weapons for each one of the SPD Rangers that kind of is like their own thing, you know, like the power swords or the blasters from Time Force or, you know, various other weapons that are unique for each Ranger. Instead, they all have their Delta Max blasters, which their sidearm is a Delta Max as well. I think it's Delta Max Fire, but I'll talk about that not in this video. It'll be a little bit later. But all of their power weapons start with Delta Max, and for Sid, it's Delta Max Burst. 3 energy reaction card, always fun to have those as our power weapon. Play this card after any ranger rolls dice for an attack. Convert up to 5 dice results to double hit results. 5 dice turning into double, that's 10 hits. You pay 3 energy to convert up to 5 dice to double hits. That is ridiculous amount of power, especially if you have something that not only avoids guard, but then also enables you to spread that damage, which you could do easily between Zords and sidearms and MegaZords and things along that way. You could have this massive like 9-10 dice attack, and if 5 of those dice are misses, which we know happens every so often with poor dice roll, convert them to 2 hits apiece. That's 10 damage on top of whatever you have, on top of splitting it, on top of what it's. She is just a powerhouse in this game, and I think I'm going to put it down right now when I do this session, which is still going to be quite a while from now. This card is going to be, or not this card, Sid is almost guaranteed going to be in my team. I just love every single one of her cards. I think she's absolutely amazing. I loved her in the show as well. I thought she was great. Her NZ, which I'm going to talk about next, and just 10 damage, 3 energy for 10 damage. If you're rolling 5 dice, which is pretty easy to do nowadays because it's just dice tacking onto things and whatnot. Yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead over to Z, who was the next one that was shown, and her ability to replicate. She's able to split her body multiple man style and become, or Naruto, even if some people, make shadow clones or whatever you want to call, and have multiple Zs running around at once. Once per battle, after any ranger rolls dice for an attack, you may spend 1 energy, as per usual, for SPD, to choose 1 die or result and add 1 die to the attack with the same result. Again, let's just go with Sid right now, where you're able to take a miss and turn it into a double hit. And now you have Z who comes in and multiplies it. So you've rolled a miss. You're now spending 2 energy to make 4 hits happen. That's insane. That is absolutely crazy. And then again, the multiplication of dice ability that Z has between not only her base ability, but her other cards is amazing. I love it. I love watching Renegade come up with new ways to make each one of these Rangers original and bring a new mechanic into the game. Who would have thought? Just multiplying dice. It's so simple when you think about it, but I didn't think about it until I saw Z. And just like everything else, a lot of her cards in her deck are going to run off of this same mechanic, including a double team right here. 0 cost maneuver card. Another ranger may immediately play 1 attack card. After rolling, they may choose 1 die result and add 1 die to the attack with the same result. Now, a lot of this is, again, adding 1 more die to the attack. So if you're rolling 5, it then becomes a 6 dice attack. I don't know exactly how much that's going to affect certain things. I feel like that there's going to be monsters or whatever that enable you to reduce the amount of die or force you to reduce die after they're rolled or before they're rolled or whatever. So I think having Z's ability to add more dice to the attack I almost guarantee it's going to be some way in order to like counteract that or whatnot. At least that's how it looks to me. I know that her power weapon ability, which I didn't show here, and it's not even a power weapon, it's her, the many of her. It's not even showing a weapon, which I thought was really cool. Check that out on the site, definitely. We'll be able to multiply a dice twice. So now you're adding more dice to it that way. Again, an awesome mechanic that is something that I did not expect to see. But now that I see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we haven't had this sooner. And I want more of it because it's just so cool and so useful. Adding dice of the same attack, even if you're adding 1 more attack or 1 more damage, I guess I could say, to an attack, could mean the difference between a monster card out of here, a foot soldier gone, a Zord being taken. Just so many different things could happen with 1 simple point of attack that this ability it's amazing. And of course, the last of the SPD Rangers in order to be revealed is Bridge, my favorite. The best Ranger ever, because not only, you talk about Tommy, who was multiple colors and multiple Rangers, Jason was multiple colors, multiple Rangers, Adam, most of the people like that. Bridge not only was multiple colors, he was green through this series, he was blue at the very end of the series because that was done, and then later on in the Once a Ranger series, he came back as red. So not only was he 3 different colors, he was 3 different colors on the same team. He is the epitome of watching a Ranger grow in rank, grow in like character and everything, and it's just so awesome. His character is funny, it's hysterical. There's a little bit that I have a gripe with his deck, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's go with his ability, psychometry. I don't quite remember exactly what it does. I remember he waved his hand around and was able to kind of sense where enemies were within like the weird bubble that he had in front of him. So I think he was able to kind of like hone in on heat signatures or something along that way. See, I'm sure you guys will let me know down the bottom exactly what his power was. I just liked him for him. Once per battle, you may spend 1 energy, of course, to reduce the energy cost of the next card any ranger plays by 2. Straight up, any ranger, including himself, fantastic. Reducing energy by 2. So in a sense, you're paying an energy, but it reduces it by 2. So if you're going to be playing a power weapon, which is a 3 energy card, it then becomes a 2 energy card regardless, because you're paying the first energy here, and then you're then playing the power weapon, which is reduced by 2 for another 1. Now this is, again, you may spend 1 energy to choose energy card of the next card. So you have to be careful on what you're playing in conjunction with it. So if you're playing a 2 energy card, then it's free. But in the way Bridge's deck works, don't be afraid to play 1 energy cards, because reducing it past 0 may give you something special. Case in point, Green Crash. Reaction. Play this card when an effect would reduce a card's energy cost below 0. Gain 1 energy, deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. So if you use his ability to reduce something by 2, but then you play 1 card, not only will that reduce it, or 1 energy card, I should say, it's going to reduce it to -1. That -1 then becomes an energy, so what you spent to do it comes back to you, and then you get to deal free damage somewhere else. Again, another mechanic from the game that I was not expecting to see actually incorporating, dropping it below 0, wanting to go into those negative numbers, because by doing that, something gets triggered that'll enable to help the Rangers out. Kind of crazy card, Green Crash. I think he's the only one that actually has his color mentioned to him in one of his cards. There's also something that in Bridge's deck that has been very, very much omitted, and it's a little bit of the buttery sense that has not been there. Everybody knows Bridge loves buttery toast. It's his favorite thing to eat. It's probably his favorite food at all. You know, you see him eating buttery toast over and over again. He makes a huge stack of buttery toast, especially when it's extra buttery. He loves it no matter what. Through the whole series, through Once a Ranger, he comes back with a stack of buttery toast. It is so much a part of his character that I'm really upset that this card got it covered. It's called Got It Covered. What do you got it covered with? Buttery. You gotta have something covered in buttery toast in order to activate. But instead we get Jack's face right here with a green blaster coming past him. I don't know. I feel like this should have been an image of Bridge standing there with a plate of buttery toast in order for him to say, this is what I love. And if you still keep with the maneuver, gain 1 energy, choose up to 2 cards from another Ranger discard pile, place that card on the bottom of their respective, it's a healing card. It's not only a healing card to gain energy, but it's a healing card to gain 2 additional cards back to a deck, because, you know, you're eating the buttery toast and getting yourself recharged. It's the one thing I wish that they did with Bridge's deck. Even if you changed the title to Buttery Toast, that would have been great. Or just left the title and give it another image. But, you know, it's their choice. It's how I feel. I still love Bridge. And he is almost guaranteed to be in my team when I show off this entire team going up against other monsters and some of the foot soldiers that I'm going to actually look at right now. So as of the point of when I'm recording this, the Tyrannodrones have not been given any official card reveals yet, which I'm sure they're going to be at some point, but again, I couldn't wait too much longer in order to be able to do this. However, we did see the Cryobots, and we saw the Elite Cryobots as well. Now, as far as the Cryobots go, I'm just going to show this one card off, Overload Burst, and I really haven't shown anything in terms of like minion cards, and I'd rather them be more of a surprise to everybody whenever we go against them, but I like this. Deal 2 damage to each ranger, then place 1 hit token on this card. I like cards like this where it's like self-sacrifice type cards, especially when it comes from enemies, because you can let them sit there, and if you do a little bit of damage to it, they can end up taking themselves out in the long run, which I think is a really cool strategy to have when playing. If you can tank the hits coming in, then at least you know that it can destroy itself. So that's the only reason I wanted to show it. And a lot of the Cryobots cards, at least the base Cryobots, are very they're very foot soldier-y, where it's like, oh, it's a damage, 2 points of health, or does like something small. They're really made to be annoyances in order to deal with in addition to the monsters and whatnot. But when it came to the elites, I was really expecting for them to do a Rinchy Beast type deal where it was Monster of the Week. You know, what the criminals and whatnot did the SPD Rangers fight throughout the course of their series that you're going to see in the elites. Instead, we get the Blue Head Cryobots as their own thing, and it is awesome. I love going through them and reading how they manipulate and interact with the cryobots themselves. Because you have cryobots and you have blue heads. You're going to have both of them on the field regardless at the same time, because that's just how the elites work with this case. And then, of course, there are cards within the blue heads that are like, you put a cryobot down and then this happens, or flip over cryobot cards and do their abilities. But they're still there causing a menace. And this card, Under Pressure, 4 health, which is crazy, especially for a foot soldier. But again, it's elite. It's supposed to be stronger. While this card is in play, each time a ranger uses a once per battle ability, which is everything for the SPDs and most of the things that come with the game, they must first spend 1 energy as an extra cost. Even the ones that are once per battle do this. Like, don't cost any energy. With this blue head out, they require an energy. And now also the SPD Rangers require 2 energy in order to trigger their abilities. That is something that is awesome to have. It's an awful passive to be there. One that you want to get rid of, that you know the second you throw down cards is going to be guarded up all over the place. It's, again, more mechanics, more things that come to the game that you would never think of that are absolutely amazing. And I love the fact that the blue heads are their own thing as well, which means that we could possibly get more Merciless minion elites and everything in the future in order to be able to, like, instead of just being Monster of the Week like they did with the Rinchies, maybe the creatures or the foot soldiers themselves are their own things, just stronger than the original foot soldiers. So awesome, so amazing. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about this later, but I do have 2 more cards I want to show off that only came through email. As of the point of this recording, again, both MegaZords have not been revealed on the website yet. They are only sent out through email as that preview. You get your email to remind you about all this stuff, and from there, you're able to see the MegaZords. And there are 2 MegaZords that are going to be in this set. First is the Delta Squad MegaZord. Once per battle, when an enemy card is defeated, place its appointment card here until the end of battle. Each time a ranger performs an attack this target battle, that ranger may gain 1 energy. There's a lot going on in that card. There's a lot of wording right there, and there's a lot of questions about, you know, certain cards that are removed and which ones would actually still activate and things along that way. I'm not going to really go into that right now. I just wanted to show this off. It's this MegaZord that fascinates me the most. The Delta Max MegaZord. This is the combination of all 5 of the Delta MegaZords and Omega Ranger Zord, because this does not have Omega Ranger. We don't have an Omega Ranger in the basic 5 pat. The only other SPD Ranger we have is Anubis Kruger, which I would probably do with the team breakdown, but something tells me we're going to see an Omega Ranger soon, so I just kind of want to hold out a little bit longer. And this Zord right here, this MegaZord, during each battle, when a foot soldier is defeated, deal 2 damage to another enemy card. Now, by the time you actually unlock this, you're going to be way late in the game. You're going to be in boss territory. So this MegaZord is great if your boss that you're going up against either spawns foot soldiers on their own, or if you just happen to be unlucky and you see a lot of foot soldiers in a spot with a boss. Because this means that when you're going up against the boss, you don't have to focus on them specifically. You should focus on the foot soldiers, which are easier to defeat, hypothetically. And then as soon as they are removed, you can start dealing damage to the boss. It's 2 damage for every foot soldier. So that's at least 8 free damage that you can get right then and there off of, that it is for every battle that you're going, because you're only fighting 4 foot soldiers at a time. But still, that's 8 damage that you could put on a very strong boss card and remove it from the game in order to increase your chances of winning. And I know that there are other bosses out there, like Finster, for example, that likes to just throw down additional foot soldiers. In that case, then, throw it down, wipe it out, and just continue to do more damage to them. Absolutely amazing. I love the way this looks, but again, I love the fact that it's possibly something that could be an Omega Ranger, and hopefully something that we will see come down the line in the future. So that's all that I really want to show off right now for you guys. Get the hype going and everything, or regrowing if you haven't really seen anything about it yet. If this is all brand new to you, definitely head on over to the Renegade website. All of those links are down in the description below. Check those out. Click on over, head on over there, and be sure to pre-order all of it at once. If you want that free box, do that as soon as possible, at least before the end of July, because I have no idea when that's going to stop. If they're going to be releasing it the 24th, you can expect that to probably end around 22nd, 23rd or so. So get on that as fast as possible. But if not, again, you can always buy them individually as well. If you don't want all that other stuff, if you don't want the extra box, you can always buy another box on your own. If you don't want anything else, there's so many different ways and combinations that you can pick all these things up that is really up to you and what you're willing to add to your collection or what you want to add to your collection. That makes it amazing. And I think it's one of the things I absolutely love about Heroes of the Grid, where you don't necessarily need everything, but the more you have, the more options, the more replayability, and the more combos and cool things that you can create for every one of your games. In any event, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this little sneak peek, I guess you could say, at the new sets that are coming out for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. Again, if you want to see the rest of the cards and everything like that, go on over to Renegade's website in order to check those out. They're all being released. They're still being released. And by the time this is, the full sets are available for full purchase, you'll be able to see all of it right then and there. Thank you guys so much again. You are absolutely amazing. If you're in the position to help this channel, by all means, please subscribe to the Home Gamer Dad so you don't miss any future Power Rangers action or other fun things I happen to put out. Super thanks are always welcome and appreciated. You can also check out patreon.com/HomeGamerDad to join that growing family and see all the cool new perks and everything that'll be coming out for you guys in the future, and things that I will be doing for you over on Patreon that you can't see here on YouTube. As always, take care of yourselves and each other. We are family forever, gaming together. I cannot wait to get these guys into my collection. I want to see what the sculpts look like, which I'm sure you're going to be able to see them really soon, preview on the website and things along that way. But I want to see them in front of me. I want to hold the cards. I want to organize everything together. And I can't wait to do the team breakdown and then actually play as them to see exactly how powerful these guys are and how they work in action. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to show you all, and I hope you're excited too. So until then, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.